So you want to buy a Galaxy S21, but which one is right for you? While they're all built on a common hardware foundation, there are a lot of differences, especially when it comes to the smaller S21 and the S21 Ultra. So the small S21 is the base model, and comes with all the core specs you'd expect: Snapdragon 888, 8GB of RAM, and 128GB of storage, upgradable to 256 if you want to pay a little bit more. Same core specs on paper for the S21 Plus. If you step up to the Ultra though, you'll get a base 12GB of RAM with 128 or 256GB of storage, or step all the way up to the maxed out model with a whopping 16GB of RAM and 512GB of storage. Remember, whichever S21 you choose, there is no expandable storage this time around, so you'll definitely want to make sure you've got enough storage space to last you. In many countries, the step up to 256GB isn't all that expensive, so you may want to consider it. The main things that set the base model S21 apart are its size and its materials. It's the smallest S21 with a 6.2-inch flat display, and the back panel is furnished in the same Glastic material as the Galaxy S20 FE, so it's plastic, but fancy plastic. That's part of what's helping Samsung sell the base model S21 this year for $200 less than the start price of last year's S20. For the two larger phones, the 6.7-inch S21 Plus and the 6.8-inch S21 Ultra, you'll get a familiar glass and metal sandwich, which feels just a bit more substantial in the hand and the pocket. Both the S21 and S21 Plus share the same camera setup, a 12MP main and ultra-wide shooters, and a 64MP 3x telephoto that's good for up to 30x hybrid zoom. That's pretty close to what we saw last year with the S20, with the main improvements likely being slightly tweaked sensors or lenses and better post-processing, as well as 4K video support on all the cameras front and back. So on paper, not a whole lot is different in the camera department compared to the S20 series, but it's still a very competent camera loadout for early 2021. On the Galaxy S21 Ultra though, you'll find one of the most performant smartphone camera setups around. The rear camera setup is built around the second generation 108MP main shooter that's even better in low light, along with the same ultra-wide as the other two S21 models, this time with the added benefit of autofocus. But the telephoto is where the Ultra really shines. There's a dedicated 3x shooter paired with an enormous 10x optical super zoom, also at 10MP. That potentially makes the S21 Ultra one of the best performing camera phones out there. And you also get the bonus of a 40MP front-facing camera compared to the smaller phone's 10MP selfie shooter. The S21 Ultra is also the Samsung Display King, and the first Galaxy flagship to boast a Quad HD Plus resolution at 120Hz. The two smaller S21 models of course get you that faster refresh rate for smoother scrolling, but you're limited to a slightly lower Full HD Plus resolution. Whether you'll notice the lower res is debatable, but it is definitely an advantage for the Ultra compared to the two other models, and it is great to finally get the best of both worlds in terms of resolution and refresh rate in a Galaxy flagship. The S21 Ultra also has a couple of the tricks up its sleeve that you won't find in the other two versions. The first is the new LTPS display technology, which we first saw in the Note 20 Ultra last year. That lets the display reduce its refresh rate down as low as 10Hz when it's idle to save battery power. The other two models can only clock down to 48Hz. That should hopefully let Samsung's supersized flagship save a bunch of power when the image on screen isn't changing. Plus, the S21 Ultra is the only model to use a curved display this year. Unlike the past several generations of Galaxy flagships, the S21 and S21 Plus use completely flat displays, and this really is a matter of personal taste, but if you do have a strong aversion to curved panels, you may want to stick with one of the two smaller S21s. And finally, S Pen support. The Galaxy S21 Ultra will work with any Samsung S Pen, giving you stylus support for the first time in a phone that's not a Galaxy Note. Samsung's launching new cases to help you carry the pen and phone together more easily, and though it's pretty gigantic either way, needless to say this is a feature you won't be finding on the two smaller handsets. Of course, the colour options available will also depend on which S21 you choose. Violet, black, silver and pink are your main choices, with a slightly different take on the black and white hues if you opt for the smaller S21, because this variant of course has a plastic back. There are some exclusive colours available if you buy direct from Samsung.com, and the S21 Plus in particular has two of the most eye-catching colourways of this current generation in this bronze and red hue. With the Ultra, your choice is between a murdered out black and a shiny silver, with a trio of more muted alternative colours if you're buying from Samsung directly. So with all three Galaxy S21 models priced $200 lower than last year, there are some definite compromises to be seen, especially if you choose the S21 or S21 Plus. The Ultra, on the other hand, is definitely the all-out power user phone, for which you will definitely pay a premium, but with the benefit of some crazy high-end features that you won't find elsewhere. That's it for now. Stay tuned and subscribe to Android Central for more Galaxy S21 coverage soon, including full reviews. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.